Hello, hello, hello. Sounds like we are connected. Hi, hi, hi. How's it going? Happy New Year. Ilya, will you play Prolishny Phoenix tournament? I'm not sure. Maybe. We'll see. I had a lot of fun last time. Well, what is this guy saying? Me or him? Hello to everybody. All right, so today we are doing speedrun for the rating 1500. That will be fun, right? What are some strategy book that you found useful 1800 feet asking? I don't want to flex or something, but when I was 1800, I didn't study from books. I remembered I actually got a rating around 1800, and then I quickly jumped to 2000. Generally, I never studied like books too much, but when it comes to strategy and process of thinking, I recommend this book from Gelfand and Jacob Aagaard. I think it's called. Let me see 1 second. I think it's called Positional Decision Making, something like that. Positional Decision Making. It's not complex book. Yeah, Positional Decision Making in Chess from Boris Gelfand and Jacob Aagaard. It's a very nice book, and yeah, recommending it very much. So I took some positions recently from that book, and I was studying it myself. So that was a nice book, yeah. And it's very well explained. It's not confusing, so it's a very decent book. All right, we might start, right? Let's start our educational speed run for 1500 rating. I'm going to change the layout. Okay. Yeah, this should be different. No. Kostya also recommended it. Looks like I have to take a look at it. Yeah, it's a very nice book. Yeah, why not? It's a decent book. All right. Why my board is not loading? It's a good question. Ah, here. Okay. All right. Everything works well. We are also live on Twitch, live on YouTube. That's decent. You hear me well? Perfect. All right. So let's start a game. 15 plus 10. Why the Zim flag? I don't know. I just took randomly some flag and put it. All right. Why do we play against e4? Let's play Sicilian. That's one of my favorites, favorite openings. And in the last speedrun, we played Hyper Accelerated Dragon. But now we're gonna play Kalashnikov Sicilian if they go d4. So I'll show you something about Kalashnikov Sicilian and how this can be very pleasant even on levels below. Because what mostly you're gonna face, because e5 is marking the Kalashnikov Sicilian, what you're gonna mostly face on these levels around 1500, they're gonna take your knight. But the best move of the book moves is knight to b5. And for example, why this opening is so good on these levels? Because you already got what you wanted from this opening. This is not correct positional move because it's correcting your pawn structure. And now you, in the next couple of moves, you are intending to push d5. And this actually gives black very pleasant central control. Not just like strategically, you can also achieve many tactical opportunities with that. So what he's trying now, he's prioritizing development, of course, and trying to stop me in my operations with d5 move, which is happening at some point in the game for sure. When I go knight f6, I'm supporting my d5, and of course they can pin my knight, but this is harmless. Like, you don't have any problems with that so much. On the other side, this pin could be very annoying for white. There is still some theory here about this opening. Generally speaking, black is already equalized. Like, if you're looking for some a bit higher levels, like black is, we are saying it like we equalized, since he traded the knight, correct our pawn structure, and allow us to go for the d5 later. So black is already totally fine in this position. So now depends totally on him what he chooses. There is now plenty of options how he can develop, but since he already committed knight c3 move, we always have bishop b4 pins, then even taking this knight and later winning this pawn. But you have to be careful about one thing in this setup, is often white is giving up this pawn for plenty of initiative on the e-line. So when you go bishop b4, exactly, when you go bishop b4 now, if he castles now, you can't take here and after take the pawn because your king is still in the center and they will hit you with rook e1. That's what is really important to remember. So before you take this pawn, you have to castle. Okay, now he's playing the move bishop to d2. Still, he's planning some sacrifices on this pawn. So I'm not a fan of taking the pawn on e4 still. I'm going to castle first, which is, of course, prioritizing safety of our king. And then in the next moves, we're going to push the move d5, followed by all this, and maybe when we can win the pawn. So now it's so now we have to calculate. Take, and now take on e4. This actually looks good. But then we lose the pawn on e5, as you see. Taking, then bishop are being pleasant here. We can hit them with d5, they'll drop the bishop back, and I don't like it to open up that much. So I'm gonna actually keep something. Maybe I can play rook to e8. Maybe I can play d6, protecting my pieces, but he also protects himself. So how about d5? Is d5 working? Takes with pawn. Then bishop is under the attack. Is there any tactics with knight takes d5? Knight takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop takes d5. Maybe there is, because after queen takes d5, we'll lose the bishop on b4. And if we take on d2, we'll take our rook. So also d5 could be a mistake here. Interesting. But if we take this guy here, they take back, then we go d5, they take it. We take it with pawn. And now, okay, we build this center. But they have bishop here. They'll just step back with bishop, I guess. And then these pawns look strong, but they're actually maybe a little bit sensitive. So, you have to be conscious here. You cannot just do it like, oh, I like it. you have to understand what's happening afterwards. Like, is this actually safe to play against these two bishops? I had plenty of games in these structures on this level, and to be honest with you, it's a bit annoying. So I'm gonna wait. Like, I'll firstly play something like d6. Not gonna rush. I want a pleasant game. Okay, he played f3. Normally. Maybe he wants later to go something like a3, b4. That looks interesting for him. So ideas such a5 here are actually good, but I'm not afraid of a3 because bishop c5 comes with check. So I'm totally fine with that. For now. Maybe I can include h6 just because bishop g5 is a little bit unpleasant at some point. So h6 is a nice prophylactic move. On the other side, I want to say maybe we missed the chance of some d5. I don't want to say we didn't. But what is sure, it's sure. Like, this position is also fine. Now we go bishop c5, we give the check to this king. I'm actually giving you advice now. This is not just for 1500. Like, this advice that I give now is giving you advice for everything. So we gave a check, and now we're gonna play the move a5 to stop b4. Also, after knight a4, we are stepping back and having the options to go on a7. Play more, you gotta be way more specific, bro. How to reach GM? I'm 1600. I cannot give you advice how to reach GM because I'm not GM myself. So I can give you advice to reach some solid level of 2300-2400 for sure in FIDE. Like, maybe even more. Some GMs requires help from lower rated opponents, lower rated people. Okay, queen e2 played. That was interesting. So I'm playing queen e7 now. That looks nice. Okay, he's offering a trade of my bishop. So, yeah, usually this bishop is kind of stuck behind this pawn, so I don't mind trading it. On the other side, when the trade happens, like this, all these dark squares becomes more soft. So, okay, so many chats there. Let's take a look. What about bishop e6 and f takes? This is actually not good. Like, thanks for asking, Siramek. This is not good because if you go bishop e6 and take with f pawn, later d5 will create a weakness on e5. So he doesn't even need to take you here. You'll have soft spot here. And okay, it looks like you have some attack, but you don't want to actually expose your structure this way. So now we're going to play the move rook b8 to attack on b2. That's a nice point. What do we also have? Great shorts. Keep going. One day you are going to be a big YouTuber. Trust me. Thank you very much. He's playing speedrun. Okay, b3 played, create a weakness on the dark crystal. So yeah, now we have to plan to go for this move. We want actually to go something like bishop b7 and d5. That's our plan. But bishop b7, there is queen to b6, and then we go d5. I guess we're gonna have some trades. And later we can go queen d8 to save the pawn on a5. So I guess yeah, we can go bishop b7 because this looks completely artificial to put a bishop on b7. This looks very odd. I understand that. But it's much better than going bishop e6. Why? If you simplify too much, your pawn structure is a bit vulnerable than usual. Why? Like, you have this open D line where you have a backward pawn. You have isolated pawn on a5, which is also very targetable if this knight reaches c4 and target here. So you don't want to trade a bishop. Looks logical, but if you trade it, it's very suspicious for later. So that's why I kept this bishop. Now I'm prioritizing d5. And already now we have some tactics. because he missed something. And he missed double attack. So firstly attacking the bishop and then later going for d4, which guarantee black material here. They take, we take back with a c pawn, of course. And now we're ready for the fork. By the way, if the rook is on d1, not just the d5 is not working, even d4 is not working because there is just rook takes d4 and we can't take back with this pawn because our queen is hanging. So that's something you should notice, but already here we are winning. Come to Sri Lanka in May and play Candy Open. That would be great. Even GM and some title also coming. Oh, okay, maybe. Sri Lanka, very interesting country. So yeah, now we managed to break the center. We're getting material advantage and hopefully we win the game easily after that. Are accepting challenges or not? No, not now, not now. Not on this stream. I'm strictly playing the speedrun and trying to reach 24,000-25,000. We'll need a lot of streams with that. Will you maybe play Reykjavik Open? I was thinking about that, but what I'm gonna play actually in the February, I'm just waiting for visa. In UK, I'm gonna play Isle of Wight chess tournament. It's a very nice tournament. I will soon announce all information about that. I'm just waiting if I'm gonna get the visa, because if I don't get the visa, I cannot play. But hopefully I will get. So we'll see. But Reykjavik Open is also very decent. I'm looking to play that also, of course, if possible. That would be very nice. Okay, so yeah, he's already in the problems. As I say, he's losing material. Our Kalashnikov opening was very pleasant in this line. So I told you here that knight b5 is the best move. And if you don't know what to play here as white, it's even better to drop your knight back somewhere. But all these moves are harmless. It's much better to, you know, to go knight b5. That's the best because you want to use d6 square. Taking like he did, it was not correct. And then later we are building solid center, normal position. Okay, he finally brought a bishop back here, but now we go for d4 and we simply win the material. You beat Chess Nerd. How was your feeling about him? Great question. Let's take this knight. Okay, now we are up a material, and I think that people on this level usually knows how to win this. You always want to open up the positions. Now, firstly, the pawn is hanging here, so let me take a look. Do we go for something like e4? Oh, let's go for e4, trying to break everything. You beat Chess Nerd. Yeah, I beat Chess Nerd. The game was very interesting because he was actually slightly better in the middle game. I misplaced something and he actually shows very complicated, very good understanding in positional play. Like, he shows it very, very well. And I was impressed about that. How he started pressing, not fearing any of my attack. But suddenly when I found one way to open up the position, he blundered instantly. So complicated positions were not on his side, because he has to calculate many lines where he's getting in inverse positions. That was the kind of hook that I used in that game. Otherwise, if the game continued in a positional way, he would most probably win the game because I couldn't do anything in that one. Of course, the recap will come very soon on my YouTube channel about this game. Not just this game, the whole tournament. Like most probably in the mid-January. Okay, now it's mid-January, but let's say the other part of January. Okay, he take on e4. We are winning, so we can take on e4 with a knight, offer some trades. Now we are putting some ideas with queen h4 and knight g3. Of course, he can play something like rook d1, but also we have some tactics there. We can even avoid like queen h4. We can play rook e8, so it's completely winning. I just finished the woodpecker method cycle 1, but I don't know if I should continue because I feel tactics aren't really my weakness. So should I finish all the cycles or do something like that? Tactics always matter, so you will not make mistakes by doing tactics all the time, but of course, process of thinking is very important. Let's go queen h4 now, threatening knight g3. He has these 3 pawns, which looks scary to be honest, but hopefully we don't have problems with this converting. Yeah, this sounds fun. Okay, he finally took this guy on e4. Of course, we're taking back with a queen, so we simplify. That's our priority. Now there is double attack. The only way to defend these pawns at the same time is to bring the queen back or to play something like rook to f2. And at that point, you're not waiting for his pawns to come up. Like, you are directly putting your rooks to the game. Like, maybe rook on c line, then rook on d line, then trying to get in. That's actually the most clear way to win this game. At some point, this is possible, but if once you reach the h4, they'll play h3. So, interesting game. Yeah, very interesting game. Okay, he brought a queen back on d2. Our rook on b8 doesn't do much. I know that this rook is great defender over f7 and can stand the e line, so, you know, I will bring this rook actually here, test his queen, and then start implementing my pieces up over there. He can also start pushing, that's interesting. After he moves the queen, of course. So now I have to find a way of putting my rook on d2. Since I can't do anything now, I don't want to play the move rook to c8 because he might start pushing the pawns. So I'm going to play the move, very interesting move, queen to b4. It's also staying around these pawns, threatening rook to d2 and then winning on g2. So he might need to play something like rook d1. Maybe that's the only kind of move he had to do. You might have to sack your bishop if the pawns becomes dangerous. You mean these pawns? Not really. These pawns are not going anywhere because you see how I'm very nicely controlling the queen side. What is your target in this year in chess? Mine is who's 100 feet of rating. Hope you're sarcastic. My target, to make better content. I don't know. To make better content and play chess more, like classical chess. Because 2024 was intense year with chess. I was playing so many classical games. I think I played 172 classical games in the year, but I was not prepared it properly for all these tournaments. I was just playing, and losing so much rating. So for this year, I want to be conscious and strategically decide what tournament to play, how to play it, what is my repertoire for that tournament, and so on. And of course, to stream all of that if it's possible, like we are always doing. CT Art is golden starter for tactics. What is that? CT Art. Is that some book? Yeah, now it's over. He can't defend it, yeah. Now he simply loses on g2 and that's game over. Yeah, he should play the move rook to d1 to stop it. After the game, we're gonna get to the theory because that's the points of speedrun. We're gonna take a look at the theory. Okay, queen to g3. Queen to g3. Now we simply take on g2. There is no counterplay tactics on that. Now we win the queen, and he resigns the game. Most probably soon. We can play rook e8, trying to get an e2, and go after the king. Queen g4, followed by rook to... Okay, he played it. He saved the king for now, but that doesn't mean that he saved it for the future. So we can now go for... What is the fastest way to win this game? What is the fastest way? We don't want to trade rooks. Let's go for rook to e5, rook to g5 ideas. Something like that. If he goes in the corner, then we have queen e4, but he will go on f1. Okay, now I think it's over because we go this check. Rook e1 wasn't made because they could take the rook. Just to tell you, it's not made. He'll take the rook. And now we go for queen e4, so he has to play this move. Do you think I can beat 2300 in FM in the last year with just 1 hour of training per day? Queen takes e2, threatening queen g2 mate. 2131. Well, you have a good rating. And okay, now he defended, so we're gonna come back with our queen, kind of froze him. And in the next move, we're gonna offer some trades with rooks, followed by maybe g5, g4. Oh, we have actually a much better move now, because if we play rook f5, there's king g2, but when we play rook to g3, now game is over, because we win the rook and win the game. You know, like, when you're at that level, like 21, 2000, and if you feel that you're stronger, you just need to play more and build the confidence. Now we take the rook. You know, in today's world, it's very important confidence, like to show the confidence over the board. And that's game over. All right, now it's time to do the review of this game, right? So we're gonna click game review. And I'll take a look what's happening here. All right. You have to play a lot of tournaments, which is financially very challenging. So I don't know what is your financial status, but in chess, it's always investing kinda, until you become GM, and then maybe it makes sense. But until that point, doesn't make sense. So, you know, there's many videos on YouTube that people are saying that chess is just throwing the money, but it's not, like, it's passion. Okay, let's take a look at this. What's happening here? What's happening here? So knight f3, knight c6, I told you I will lead you to this sort of Kalashnikov opening that it's my main repertoire, and I actually played it against Chess Nerd. So Kalashnikov opening is my main repertoire, played it a couple of times. I had it also in many Blitz games, and on channel you can find many games in Kalashnikov, and also many videos. And for those who don't know, I have also a course about Kalashnikov. Exactly on my webpage. It's my signature course, and you can take a look what happens there. But it's also everything of this, it's covered there, like all these sidelines, knight b3, knight f3, even knight e2 move. This move, I saw that Noderberg sometimes played it. It's very challenging if you don't know how to handle it. Knight c6 is the most popular move on lower levels, and I remember that when I was analyzing this position, which is equal, like it's dead equal according to engines, but could be challenging for black also if they hit the proper setup. So I remember that bishop c4 was for me the most challenging move, because you cannot go bishop to b4 yet. That doesn't do much. So when you go knight f6 here, they will kind of castle, if I remember, or there is this move queen to f3. and they sort of want to go with something like bishop g5, then followed by knight to c3, and then even sometimes longside castles, which could be challenging. I remember that I analyzed that myself in my course, but I don't remember what's the response to that. I think you have to lead with some d5, and this leads to some crazy positions. But knight c3 is the most common move here. Everyone plays it. I played knight f6, bishop c4, bishop b4. That's also, and yeah, now there is even this move queen to f3, which is also interesting. He played bishop d2, which I think is bad. And here in this position, I told you that we don't want to play d5 because there might be some tactics like takes, and I don't know if knight takes d5. Okay, he's not. If he's castled, then knight takes d5 works. But now we just have this, and if they go here, we go queen takes d5. If they go here, we have queen e4, and then we win the bishop. But if the things are castled, like we castle, they castle, then now d5 is not working, I think. Or it's less good. d5, takes, yeah, now there is knight takes d5. And the problem is after knight takes d5, there's bishop takes d5, and rook is under the attack, so if you take here, you lose the protection on your bishop, and you simply lose the game later because you're pawn down. So that's why we have to do something like d6, which is correct. They played f3. Now h6 is totally fine. They played a3, bishop c5, hits the king with tempo, and then we played a5 to stop the move b4. Also, a5 gives the like proper stuff with knight f4, so you always have a gap for your bishop on a7. That's the point also on a5, not just to stop b4, but it's more to actually make the gap for your bishop. Queen to e2, and now queen e7. We are totally fine here. And here I told you that usually trading this bishop is fine in Kalashnikov because later on you get the control on these dark squares and your position is totally fine. Now rook b8 is normal move, putting the pressure on b2. Now he played b3. I think that maybe some bishop b3 was better option because not creating the weaknesses more on dark squares, but okay, b3 is fine move, of course. I play bishop b7, and here I told you that I want to push so badly the move d5. And if you go something like queen b6, this looks actually very nice because he wants to go for queen takes a5. And now if we go d5, he'll just step back. And if you go something like d4, he'll go knight f4. And suddenly he gets the control on these weak spots. On a5, c5, wants to go on c4, which is, you know, possible. You can play this and now go something like rook a8, but, you know, maybe it's better directly to go the move rook a8, trying to protect the pawn directly, then bring the rook to d8, and then look for pushing later, because more or less at any point the d5 will come. So, Mr. Dodo. Haley, I hope you're doing well. Today I have a question that you have answered to. I have coming 7 rounds, classical tournament this week. Is there anything I can do to prepare? I mean, you cannot prepare a few days before the tournament, like you're usually preparing all the time and studying, but the best part when it comes to tournament preparation is to like repeat your openings, find some tricky openings, and yeah. And here in this position, my opponent played the a4 move. So for those who didn't watch the stream from beginning and see the game what happened, what's the blunder about this move? Can you tell me, guys? Why is this move a blunder? It falls apart simply because of some simple combination. What do you think? Can someone tell me? Knight a4, no. We don't want to play that move. Yeah, we go for d5, d4. That's correct. d5, and then later, whatever they do, we simply win the piece, where actually the game ends. So our opening preparation worked very, very well. Knight takes e4, targeting the queen. And yeah, Then we simply later go for queen h4, then we go knight g3, and all these tactics matters. So here taking was definitely bad. King g1 was better move. Like, this bishop is important. More you simplify, you're gonna be worse and worse in this position. So he needs some complications and pieces, and that's not correct decision from white to exchange the knight on e4. After that, he brought a queen back to defend the g2 and c2 at the same time. Then we include another pressuring move, so we keep with our initiative. We target a queen, queen to f2, then queen to b4. The point of this move was not really to attack any of these pawns, is to create actually stability for the rook to come on d2, and then later to attack the pawn on g2 and win the game. That's actually how we won. He blundered with this, and now rook d2. We simply win the queen here, and then later it's just a matter of technique, how we give it checkmate. Here we collect some more pawns, and then final touch was rook g3, where we won the game, and that's it. So that's nice. Maybe this should be in a different color. Like, maybe it should be black. Yeah. So all right, we go for the next game now. We simply go for the next game now. That was nice game. That was nice game.
I mean it. If you like what you
All right. Okay, let's go start game. Okay, now we are white. Does physicality matter in chess? What do you mean by being in shape? We're gonna start with d4. What do you mean by being in shape, like gym, cardio, or something? Yes, of course, it matters. It matters a lot. You don't think it matters, but it actually matters. You need some, to throw the negative energy from the games, especially after the game. Like, I will give you one tip, what I did in the Relton Cup. Every morning, I was doing gym. Every single morning before the rounds. Because our rounds was 2:30. And around 9 or 10, depends. I like to sleep a lot, so usually was 10, 11. Sometimes 9. I was in the gym for like 1 hour, and I do some exercises and then go for breakfast and then come back for preparation. And this actually clears my mind. Like, I throw the negative energy there, and after that I'm ready for the game. And this is also good sometimes to do after the game. Depends, especially when you lost. So he's playing Philidor. We're gonna play d4. Maybe he also opted for modern defense, which is popular nowadays. So it matters. Cardio, physical activity matters a lot. Train legs like Tom Platz. I'm not big fan of leg day, but we have to include it. That's harsh true. Okay, so this is famous setup. They want to go maybe queen a5 followed by putting the pressure on this pawn. So that's typical for this position. So we're gonna go f4 because this gives us a space. That's actually very nice. Where are you from? I'm from Serbia. So yeah, this is actually the common position where many people are now developing bishop, developing knight, and they're simply blundering the pawn here. Here it's really important to protect this guy on e4 with a move bishop to d3. That's the main line. And if they step back with a queen, then you have knight to f3, so you're totally fine. Yeah, this is the main theory. This is the main theory. e5 here is the best and the only move for black that leads to some complicated positions. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember how it goes, but I think I should go knight f3 here. Taking is not good because I'm opening up this bishop. So I think I should go with something like, yeah, I should go knight f3. Yeah, definitely. I should go knight f3. Okay, bishop g4 was annoying. I agree with that. So he wants now to take here so badly. I'm curious if I should go with something like bishop to e3, but there is queen to b6. There is then queen to b6. Then he hits this pawn, so this is a bit uncomfortable now. He wants to take here. Maybe just retreating the bishop back, it's fine for me. Aha, there is knight takes e4 then. So yeah, he played it interesting. He played it. But now, okay, now the thing is, when I take here twice, he doesn't have knight g4 because bishop is already there. So actually, maybe we can just take. Even though we open up this bishop, maybe we can just take. To reveal the pressure, of course. Wait, why the Zim flag? I mean, this is just the... for sarcasm, I don't know. Take back. This is just some account that I found, and it contained the Zim flag, so it's not my like real rating or something. My real rating on chess.com, not in Rapid but in Blitz was. I need to check, but I think 2750 now. Okay, so queen e5, and now we can castle. Yeah, now we can safely castle. We have a bishop here. Our position breathes, so that's good. I don't usually play Rapids on my channel, on my account, but maybe I should. Okay, this check is harmless. It's actually helping our king to step, out of problems. King h1. Okay, they castle themselves, and now it's time for some tactics. So, firstly, whenever you have a chance to put some pressure and make the initiative, you should always do that. So I think bishop f4 is a very nice move here, followed by later something like e5. Like if he drops the queen somewhere back, then e5 definitely follows up, followed by some knight e4, followed by some queen h5, and then we go for checkmate patterns. So all of our pieces are doing some great job. I think that I maybe misplayed a bit of the variation. I'm not sure, but overall it looked fine to me now. So what he wants to go for knight g4 if I go e5. Okay, then what? e5, knight g4. Do we have anything? We have knight to e4. By the way, bishop e3 was actually the right move. It's difficult to see. In the opening? You mean the opening segment? Bishop e3 is not correct move. There is knight takes e4. It's not good move. That's how usually people blunders here. You have to defend the pawn with bishop d3. That's the best move. Or I'm missing something. So okay, e5, knight g4. e5, knight g4. Knight to e4, then he can actually take on e5 then. And then if he takes, do we have anything there? Take back, queen takes. No. So okay, maybe actually on just e5, knight g4 to go rook e1. I think that's enough, right? I think that's totally enough. e5, yeah, e5. Just go e5. I think he meant bishop d3. Maybe I meant instead of f takes e5. But if you go there, then I'll play queen b6. And then I'm threatening to take here and then to take on d4. So if I go here bishop e3, I think this move is very good. Because it's threatening here. There is maybe knight f4 then, but it seemed very suspicious, you know, I don't know. I like this double take and going castles, and it worked. It worked for me because I know that there is no knight g4s because bishop is there, so that's also possible, I think. Okay, e5 he is now in the practical problem because knight e4 is following, rook e1 is following, some queen h5, bishop h7 is following, and yeah, game looks very, very bad for them. Okay, we'll see an analysis later. So knight e5 was played. Knight to d5 was played. That's a clever move, of course. Now we have this move, knight to e4, which attacks the bishop. And the only move for them is to go bishop to e7. That's the only move for them. Because we have knight g5 and then double attack on queen, double... Oh, wait. I think I missed something. Yeah, I missed something. I don't know why I rushed, but I had bishop takes h7, forward king takes, and then... Or no, I didn't have that. My bad. So bishop e7 happened. Okay, and now at this point, we can maybe try just to bring the other pieces to the game. This looks promising to me. And we don't have any other tactics, right? If we try queen h5, they won't play maybe g6, queen h6, knight takes, rook takes, queen takes. Yeah, maybe just for safety, just to go rook to e1. And no trouble for us. Yeah, that was fine move. If they take, we take with queen, and then we continue with our attack. Most probably some knight f6 appears, or just rook lift. I think rook lift is enough. That looks promising. Hello, do you speak Russian? I do speak Russian, but I'm not too good at that. I was good in the past because I used to studying in Russian, but I can understand everything mostly. So knight e7. Okay, okay, what is now planned for? We have to calculate tactics, of course. Since this looks very tactical, we have to calculate tactics. He wants to take here so badly. Knight to g5, takes. Then the pawn on e5 is hanging, so that's a bit suspicious. I think we have to stay solid still here. I'm just looking now for the best alternatives. Maybe actually here now queen h5 works, because g6 we go queen h6, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, and then we have knight f6, and then we win the queen. Something like that. g6, queen h6, but there is this. Rook takes. Knight takes. Yeah, I have to be careful. To not lose this strong pawn. Maybe there is also this kind of move. Knight a6. Okay, let me calculate. Let me find the best move here for me. So... yeah, I want to trap this queen, so I can go knight to g3 and then look for bishop f5. That's trapping the queen for sure, but he has this, I take back. Okay, still is dangerous for him. Yeah, so I'll go knight g3. I'm trying to open up this diagonal. This looks also fine. I'm also protecting the pawn, so yeah, this looks fine. Who do you think will win the candidates? I think Fabi will win. You know, nowadays, you don't really know who will win. You know, last candidates obviously happened with Gukesh. Like, no one actually predicted that Gukesh will win, but he just played very solid. So, you know, today, if you're in a very great form, no one can actually, on that level, no one can actually beat you in the tournament. It's very hard. And if you consistently win the games and build up the confidence, that just statement of your knowledge in chess and being better than someone like Fabi is most probably irrelevant at that point, because when you take a look at Fabi, Hikaru, they're the most experienced players there, and also they're the best, for sure. But if they're having a bad tournament and the others have a very great tournament, then even Yasipenko could win. There's chances for that. So I don't really know. Like, I cannot predict that. Of course, you can go for the favorites, but they'll be fun to watch, of course. So we take on f4, we protect our pawn on d4. Yeah, he's defending very well. But our pressure is increasing. We are waiting for his mistake, of course. So now pushing all of these pawns, I think g6 is the only pawn that he can push that looks possible to defend. Like f6 loses the queen. h6 allows me more tactics on that pawn, especially like later knight to f5, knight h6, or just going here and trying to go for checkmate. Like, this is a threat now, so bishop to f5. And then after queen to d5, we have rook to d1. So it's very important when you have this kind of position, like looks everything stable, you have your bishops, you have knight, you have rooks, everything looks natural, just to not rush here. Like, I used to rush myself in these kind of positions in the past, like directly playing knight g5 or bishop g5 or going queen h5. You don't need that. Like, sometimes, make one step back to go 2 steps forward. You know that quote. So we are going knight g3 to prepare some stuff with knight f5, bishop f5 to open up this diagonal. Okay, this bishop is not important in our attack, so we're happy to exchange it for this stable knight. That makes sense, right? Okay, so taking this pawn on a2 was typical 1600 level. He at least move out of the way from this. But he forgot many stuff. First thing he forgot is that we have simple tactic now that wins the piece. So can anyone in chat tell me how we get advantage? How do we get the advantage here? Queen f5, yeah, queen f5 is correct. Queen f5 attacks the knight and attacks h7. So preferably, if this rook is somewhere out, then the knight f8 is a great defense. But if the rook is somewhere out, then f7 is a target point. So we would have bishop c4 followed by take on f7, and that's game over. Actually, we do have it even now. Bishop c4 looks logical, it's an interesting move. But the problem with that move is, okay, they won't give up the f7 pawn. Like bishop c4, queen takes, bishop takes f7. They will throw it away, but the problem is later you open the f line and you don't get anything with your bishop on f7. So bishop c4 is a nice guess, but it's not correct move. Queen f5 is much better because it's directly targeting, You follow firstly with captures. Like you look for takes, that doesn't work. You don't really wanna take just the pawn and take the knight. You wanna continue with your attack. Then you look for threats on queens and king. That's possible, but then you find even much better threat, which is the, let's say, third candidate move, because your priority is firstly to calculate this if works. Then you see, okay, that's fine. Let's take a look if there's something better. Then you have a threat on the queen that's valuable to check. Okay, that's fine. Then you also find the another threat, and then you see, okay, he loses the knight after queen f5. So queen f5 finishes the game. If he plays queen e6, then you have checkmate on h7. That's the whole point. So you have a very dead threat, and then you have another very good threat, and that's it. If you see tactic, always try another move order. Yeah, if you feel like in these positions you're gonna develop intuition a lot. There is tactics. There's a lot of tactics here. And then if you see many threats, attack on the queen, take h7, double attack, like you just check all of them. Because most probably a lot of tactics could work. But this is the best one because we win the piece. We are not satisfied with a pawn on h7 and then win the piece. So he played now this, okay. Alright, so here we can experiment a little bit, by the way. We can experiment. He pinned our knight, but... We can go with something like e6 also. We can also just ignore and let him take our rook. That's also a possible way of playing. But in the worst case scenario, we can just bring the queen back to g4 and, you know, be happy. On the other side, actually, maybe it's better just to go with b3. I like the move b3 because I want to go so badly with bishop c4 move. So I don't really care about the knight. Like, we can even pre-move that if they want to take it. e6, yeah, but I don't want to let the queen come back. I want to checkmate, actually. I want to go bishop c4, take here, and then open up the position. You know, I think this move was like restrictions. You know, sometimes people are looking for mindless checks, captures, simplification when they're better, but sometimes restriction is the most precise way to win the game, because you see, we are unlocking the queen out of the connection from the king side. So queen is now out, and we can go for bishop c4. So now this wins the game completely because he can't stop takes on f7. And that's kind of game over. That's kind of game over. Yeah, there is no... Yeah, lost the pawn, but he lost the game after rook takes f7, so that doesn't matter. Will you stream the tournament in Mad Gymnasium? No, I'm not gonna stream the tournament. I'm gonna just play it. So, rook takes f7. I'm gonna record it, actually, but I'm not gonna stream it. So we can take on f7. Rook takes f7, and that's game over, right? There's no other options for them to survive. If they take back, we take with queen, king moves away, and then we have queen f6, and that's pretty much is a tactic. He takes it, we take back with queen, check, king moves out of the way. And you have queen f6, because bishop covers here, queen covers here, and that's GG. Alright, that was nice. So let's go game review. As usual, we are analyzing the theory part. To take a look at this c6 move, then we go f4. That's, by the way, that's the best move. You can also go knight f6. They will play g6, I guess, and so on. But that's what people are mostly relying on. They're going for, after f4 for this move, queen a5. And if you go now the move bishop e3, like many people would do here, you're simply losing the pawn now. And that's game over for you. So bishop d3 was correct book move. e5 was the best challenging move. And now knight f3 was the best book move because you're protecting your pawns in the middle. You don't really want to commit trading on e5 because it opens the bishop diagonal and he can come out on b4, c5. Now he played a move bishop to g4, and someone actually in the chat recommended move bishop e3, which was correct. But I think also playing f takes e5 was totally fine. It's just slightly worse than the bishop e3, but it's also possible. Yeah, bishop e3 is the best. I was for some reason scared about a move queen b6, But actually then f takes e5, d takes e5, and now queen d2. Yeah, like you don't really worry about a b2 pawn because usually this one is a poisoned one, and this produces enough counterplay on this side of the board. So here, if you're not sure in the theory part, just play something what looks logical to you. I was not sure. Doesn't matter if it's a 2000, 2500, 3000 level. If you're not sure, just don't play something you are not aware of. Like, don't risk. If you see that f takes e5 is fine, followed by takes, like I did in my game, then you want to go castles, just go for that. Here, actually, the only move where black is knight from f to d7. Everything else is much worse. Because if he goes with take like he did, he simply develops my queen, and the next move after castles, I'm fine. He's not in time to play bishop to c5 to stop my castles because he loses the knight on f6, obviously. So knight from f to d7 is the only move, preparing knight takes e5. Now we'll play most probably bishop to f4. And here if you go for something like bishop c5, trying to prevent our castling, I guess we can go h3. If they drop the bishop back or something, we can prepare something like a3 and b4, and yeah, we are getting a pleasant position again. So we have pawn up. This pawn is a double pawn, but it's actually a useful one because it controls the certain squares, especially d6, and kind of blocks the position, bugs the position of black. He can't get to f6 back. So yeah, actually here I told you that bishop to e3 was the best. And if you go something like takes, we can even take on f4, why not? Because the pawn is not under pressure. Now queen b6 is challenging, but we have this move knight f4. On queen b4 we have c3, and then we are totally fine. On queen a5 we go knight c3 back, and queen b6 back. Yeah, there's actually some problems here. How about a3? Is this possible? Queen b6, and then we simply trap the queen. That's the famous stuff. That's the way how we trap the queen. I don't know if you're aware of this tactic, but this traps the queen. How about bishop takes, and queen takes here? Yeah, we lose the pawn, but we get a ton of initiative. So this is also possible, and white should not be scary about anything there. This is a fantastic position now for white. Okay, what happened in the game? My opponent decided to give this bishop too early, which of course I'm satisfied with. We take back with queen, and now he played queen takes e5. We developed with castles. So actually here I made mistake with this one. I didn't realize that bishop to d6 is actually a very strong move. And now if I go bishop to f4, he'll simply trade everything and play the move knight from b to d7, or knight from f to d7 followed by f6, and simply control the game. The problem is g3 looks fine, followed by, of course, bishop to f4, but he can just ignore that by dropping the queen back, e6 or e7, and knight is coming here alongside castles, and he has massive control on the dark squares. I didn't realize that this move is so powerful, so actually here, before I go castles, I have to implement the move bishop f4. So this is the first you want to do. So I castled, he gave check, I went king h1, he went castles. That's the point. He needs to drop back the bishop on d6 to start strategically outplaying me on e5. He missed it with castles, and now we just get the advantage that we should get earlier with earlier move bishop f4, queen e6, and now e5. All of this is great because we are just increasing and increasing our initiative. He goes knight e5, and knight e4 was missed, but it was correct move, I think. It's saying that queen e4 was better. Queen e4 was better, and I guess g6, but now it won for some reason so badly bishop c4 or bishop h6. But okay, knight e4 is totally fine. Like, I think they are too strict with this game review science. Bishop e7, now rook e1 is totally fine, like bringing the last piece to the game to increase the pressure in our attack. Knight to d7, developing the knight, putting the pressure on e5. Okay, and now I told you here that all sort of queen h5 moves or something like knight g5 was too open, too risky, the best move in the position was to go knight to g3, which I told you that sometimes you need to go one step back to go two steps forward. So what this move does, this move actually opens the diagonal for our bishop. That's first thing. Second thing, when we're talking about the bishop, we are controlling the f5 square together, so we're threatening to trap the queen. So if they play something poor, bishop f5 wins the game. Because they need to sack the queen or sack the knight or something, and we just win a ton of material. That's bad. Third thing is protecting the pawn on e5 with our rook. So we are not losing the pawn with knight takes e5. So that was a decent move. And to not talk about that now we can even think about jumping with our knight on f5, then rerouting on d4 if possible, but these threats are prioritizing. Yeah, the hardest move to see are the backward knight moves. Exactly. Not just the knight backward moves, also the other moves. Like many people forgets about the queen move back. Queen is usually the hardest retreatment with queen is, I think, with when you need to go with something like queen a8 to queen h1 or queen g1, or to go a1 or something like that. If your queen is somewhere in the air and trying to give some tactical opportunities from going backwards. So that's also possible. Queen f4. Knight takes f4. Then we take back with queen, of course. We like the trade. And I told you that this is a typical mistake on these levels. Who's going to tell me why? Why is this a bad move? Why is this a bad move? Why queen takes a2 is a bad move? Someone tells me. Fast, 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 fast. It's restricting, it's isolating the queen on the wrong side of the board. Like instead of thinking about, moving the king away, getting the position solid and so on, it's simply missing the move queen f5. So already with this move, many tactics appears. I told you that there is even bishop takes, king takes, then queen f5, king moves, then you take here. That's also possible, but that's just simplifying the position. Okay, maybe you can continue with knight f5 and queen g4. That's also possible. But all these tactics are not good as queen f5. People were saying in chat bishop c4. That was possible. But the problem with that move is after queen takes b2, if you take on f7, you actually just help black here. Because then you're pinned now. And your bishop doesn't do much on f7 here. Okay, it does. If you have suddenly now the move knight g6, and then when they take to give some checkmate on the h line, this Anastasia's mate, I think it's called, you can go e6. Of course, white is better here, but you're missing the point of the position. That's why we are finding the queen f5 tactic, and they have actually to go for g6. That loses the knight on d7. Later on, b3 was fantastic move because restricting the queen. Sometimes you're going for simple restrictions. Why? You don't really wanna have his queen in defense. Like you wanna so badly play the move bishop c4. To do that, you need to restrict the queen. If they go for something like b5, okay, doesn't matter. At least you restrict the queen so you can go for e6 and so on. If you go e6 directly, it's possible. Of course, it's possible. Then you're gonna make a lot of trades, but it's not as good as bishop c4. Okay, your piece up. Of course, you can do whatever you want. Trading is helping you, of course. And now after bishop c4, we have checkmating couple of moves, and that's game over. That's game over. Simply game over. That was a nice game. That was a really nice game. Like the stream, guys. Sub up, follow up. Don't forget about that. Everybody sub up. Everybody sub up. Don't forget about that. Okay. Let's take a look at another game. Let me grab one cookie. 1 second.
I'm game for sure.
All right. We are ready for the next game. We are ready for the next game now.
Should be okay. Sure hope so.
Let's start. Start the next game. All right, let's go e4. That's our main opening. That's what we play usually. Okay, French defense. French defense. We go d4. We always go d4. We want to grab the center. And now I'll show you one very, very nice, interesting gambit. It's coming from the advanced line. Of course, knight c3 is something I played also. But usually in French defense, you are making this pawn chain. By the way, taking here is usually a mistake on these lower levels, because it's allowing knight directly to come on c3. That's why they should delay it. Delaying take for black in the French defense is really important. So now we play the move knight f3. They play the move bishop d7. And I had a game in last round in Railton Cup that come after the move bishop d3. So this is called Milner-Barry Gambit. And on queen b6, you're simply ignoring your opponent of winning and taking this pawn. You're prioritizing your development. And now this pawn looks like it's a free pawn. It is a free pawn, of course, but there is a very nice idea behind sacrificing this pawn. So I'll show you now. So if the bishop is not on d7, this pawn is not hanging at all. Because after take, knight takes, we exchange everything, and on the end of the day, there is this beautiful move, bishop to b5 check. But since the bishop is on d7, this tactic doesn't exist. So he played a move rook to c8. Milner-Barry Gambit goes still with rook e1. And now here it comes. The whole story, the whole point of sacrificing the pawn. We are not taking this pawn. That's what I want. We are not taking this pawn. So they played the move rook to c8. What we are doing instead, we are going with a move knight from b to d2. So we are simply ignoring again another pawn on c3. That's the Milner-Barry Gambit. So now, what's the point behind it? Queen on b6 is now bad. We now have to take. Queen on b6 is now bad. Why? Because we are getting another piece with initiative and development on the B line. So that's actually fantastic, right? Bishop c5 looks like a very decent move, but I think it doesn't work at all. There is a very simple reason why. Who's gonna tell me why rook b1 is the best move here? Why rook b1 actually is the best move here? What do you think? Why rook b1 works? Can someone tell me, if knows? Why rook b1 is the best? Okay, I guess you don't know. So rook b1 is the best because even if you gave up the rook on e1, you're gonna win the queen. But yeah, queen has to move and the threat on f2 is gone. That's correct. So after rook b1, bishop takes f2, we play the move king to f1. And now the thing is, when they move the only square queen to c5, we are going with the move knight to b3. And to stay connected with bishop, queen is to draw back to b6. And then we go with the move knight to d4. So to show you that in practice, I'll go for the move rook to b1. Sometimes this thing doesn't work because they have nice compensation for that sacrifice. But here we just get ton of development and ton of initiative. Now what they need to do is to drop the queen somewhere back. If they take on f2, they will lose the bishop later. They will lose the bishop. So they can't take. This is bad move. And this appears in different French defense lines where taking on f2 is actually a big mistake. So here bishop takes f2 is a blunder. Of course, our opponent brought a queen back, which is a logical move, of course, but I'm telling you that this is generally slowing down his development. Now, since we open the line for our rook, taking on b7 looks interesting, but they will drop the bishop back to b6. And then later they will prepare knight to a5 and actually win this rook on b7, which is a bad thing for us. So what we're actually doing now, we would like maybe to go for something like c4. c4 looks good because it's trying to open up the position, but there is this annoying move knight b4 after the move c4, where we need to drop the bishop all the way back to f1, but we are still having connection with the middle. So I think we should prioritize breaks and then go for the move c4. The whole point is you just want to open up, you want to get your knight to d6. Later on, you want to take, after opening up, you want to take on b7. So this is actually a great strategy. We don't mind really dropping our bishop. Actually, in my game, in the last round of the Rilton Cup, the game went this way. Like, he attacked my bishop with knight b4, I dropped the bishop back to f1. And then he suddenly decided to take on c4. Would the knight b3 be a good move instead of c4? Knight to b3 looks good, but since now he already bring the bishop to c5, he'll bring the bishop to b6, and then if you go knight to d4, even after trade, this bishop will be very nice piece here because it's putting the pressure on b6. So I think that c4 is more practically better. According to engine, I don't know now. But I think practically speaking, this move is decent. Because it's opening up the position, as you see. So now what I'm going to do, I can actually take this guy with a bishop also. But I think it's much better to take it with a knight. Since we are already controlling these two squares and we are ready for the next move, rook takes b7. The problem for black's position now is that he cannot stop it with bishop b6. There is knight e6. So that's the pleasant reaction for us. The other reaction is, doesn't matter even we lose this knight. is to just drop the knight on d6. Then after pawn takes, we're gonna open up the e line. So that's how it works. For example, now the logical way of playing is, of course, to go with a knight to e7, and here it comes one very nice tactical idea. Sometimes you don't even need material, like rook on b1. You can go directly rook takes b7, devil castle, and so on. Okay, actually, I have actually many ideas here. Now I just saw another one. Like, can they castle after rook takes b7? What do you think? Can they castle? It's a good question. Do you see the tactical opportunities after black castle after rook b7? They can, but there is bishop takes h7. Okay, there is bishop takes h7, but there is even something much better. It's connected with bishop takes h7. Do you see it? Do you see it? Yeah, there's rook takes d7 first. First you take the bishop, and since the queen is unprotected and alone on d7, then you go bishop takes h7. And that's game over. Yeah, that's correct. But look at this now. You might play the move rook b5 also. I like also this move, because it's attacking unprotected piece. And if they drop the bishop back on b6, we have the move knight e6. That's the whole story. I wanna so badly put a knight on d6. On the other side, if they go b6 to protect that way the bishop, which is more logical, then we sack the rook. And after they take it with pawn, then we go knight e6. Check. And the whole story is not to regain material and take the rook on c8, is to like destroy the castles, and after king f8 to start with something like knight g5 followed by queen f3 and queen h5. So the thing is, if my opponent is aware of the tactics of rook d7, he can save it with rook c7, and that's what I don't like. So I actually like more the move rook to b5, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play this move, rook to b5. For example, now knight takes e5, we're gonna just take back with a knight, and if he takes on b5, we're gonna take back with bishop, so that's not a problem. Rook takes b7 was also possible, but I like practically more rook b5. You'll see now if he plays b6, what happens after that. It happens a lot of mess for him, for sure. Rook b7 castles rook d7 and queen takes d7 is forced. That's correct. And then you go bishop h7. We're gonna see that later in analysis. But here now, I don't see actually how he defends this bishop, because knight d6 is actually coming anyways. I don't really see how he'll defend it. I'm looking for some tactics, but on all these tactics, I still have rook takes d6, which looks very natural. So I think rook b5 is damn good move, like very good move actually. Okay, b6, great. So he played b6. So now we sacrifice. We sacrifice the rook, the piece that we don't need in our attack. So we are prioritizing again the initiative. And now we go knight e6, check. So king has to move on f8. And now many people would take this rook. But when it comes to initiative, you cannot look for taking the material, because actually knight takes c8 is simplifying the game. You can always take. Okay, he resigned. I don't know why he resigned, but he could make it longer, a bit more fun for us. But let's take a look what happens later. So we're gonna just analyze from very beginning first.
Amazing.
And then
Winning
we're gonna
the
come
game
to
with
that
a
point
brilliant
of knight takes f7 and knight takes c8. So Milner-Berry gambit. Let's go quickly further to this theory part. So okay, he played the move rook to c8, and I missed one point here. I should actually take on c5. That's actually the best move. I forgot about that. And after bishop takes c5, the point is to go b5. That's the whole story why they need to take here earlier on d4. That's the only move for black. I completely forgot about that after takes. Okay, rook c8, that you're just getting massive advantage after b4. Because he needs to drop the bishop somewhere back, and then you simply continue the position from this point. He has less space on the queen side. You can also prepare your stuff like knight e3, knight c2, a4, bishop e3, and yeah, these positions works very well for white. Instead, I play the move rook e1. Engine doesn't like that move, but it's still better for white because after c takes d4, you lost the pawn. But that was the point of my gambit, of Milner-Berry gambit, is knight bd2. And now after d takes c3, as you see, we are prioritizing development, initiative, and we are giving up the pawn. So we are still here more comfortable. Now what is good for black is to try to stop the move c4 with the move knight a5. This is a very nice move, and I watched some YouTube channel that explains that here rook b1 is the best, and after queen c7, you go anyway for the move c4. And the whole story is after knight takes c4, bishop takes c4, pawn takes c4 to go now knight a4. And you're simply 2 pawns down, but he can't defend knight e6 threat. And that's so annoying position for them. You have ton of initiative and his king is in the center. So my opponent actually played the move bishop c5. And I asked in chat in this point why rook b1 is the best move. It's because bishop takes f2 doesn't work like it looks. Why it doesn't work? Because you simply play the move king f1. You're staying connected with bishop while you're still attacking the queen. So sometimes obvious checks and threats doesn't work like this, especially in the French. Where they could be better if they have already played the move a6, because queen can drop on a7 safely and then they'll save the bishop. But now if they go queen c5, we go to move knight to b3, or even easier, we can go just rook b5. And then in the next move, okay, actually now there is queen takes c3, we need to drop it back, it's complicating, so knight b3 as I mentioned in the game was better. And then if they go queen b6, we just simply go knight to d4, I think. And then they won't lose the bishop now. They need to actually give up the queen, that's maybe the most efficient way for them to play. But queen is a queen actually, and that's bad. So the thing is, this is the point why bishop takes f2 doesn't work. Queen d8 is better move. And now here, I told rook takes b7 is possible, but I actually liked more c4. For some reason, Engine doesn't like this move, but it's always uncomfortable from the practical point of view to handle that one. Like taking on c4 is definitely a bad move. I told you that he should go for knight b4. This looks more pleasant. Because it's, again, bringing the initiative on the other side. Rook takes b7, as I mentioned, was the best, but I was afraid of the move bishop b6. But I shouldn't, because my rook is untouchable here. Knight a5 is a threat, so we play knight b3, and the game goes on. We brought a pawn back. We're gonna play something like bishop e3, knight e4, knight b5, knight e6. If they don't make trades, but I just felt suspicious about this rook. Many players would not do that, but in this case it worked. So c4 was also an interesting move. He missed the point with taking here, and now we just take back with knight. And now white is massively better here. He's almost winning. Why? Because after knight e7, again we can go and take on b7. But the move I preferred more is the move rook b5. And okay, so now Engine says that this move is mistake. But the move is not mistake. White is still better. It's sort of just missing the proper chance. Proper chance of rook takes b7 is actually much better. And if they castle, we saw this point of rook takes d7, queen takes d7, and bishop takes h7. This discovery, x-ray attack, and then now we win the queen. And that's game over. But at this point, instead of castling, they can play the move rook c7. And that was much better defense for them. Then we're going to drop our rook somewhere back, maybe rook b3. And okay, we continue the game. If they go castles, we still have this sacrifice, because we got this knight g5, followed by rook h3, queen h5, and we have this Greek gift tactic, which works very well for us. So this is not great for them. At this point, we're gonna go slightly back here and see our move rook b5. They played b6, and here I told you that we have this rook takes c5 move. Actually, now they're saying it's brilliancy. I don't think this is also brilliance because it was obvious move that will come because of knight e6 coming. We wanted to eliminate defender from that spot, and after they take back with pawn, now we go for knight e6. My opponent resigned after king f8, but the whole story about that is not really to take this guy here. You can, but you're simplifying unnecessary. Like you want to increase the pressure, and my point was to go with a move knight g5. So now there is a pressure on f7. To defend that one, I guess bishop e8 is the only move. And now I wanted to follow up with queen to f3 or queen to h5, which looks very, very strong. Now, for example, f6 looks like a good move, but it's actually losing on the spot because of knight takes a6. And after king g8, we just drop the queen back and now threaten the checkmate and threaten the queen. So that's game over. That was the whole story about my attack. I wanted this so badly. Even though I'm exchanged down, I can always take this rook if needed. He cannot prevent everything at the same time. For example, queen f3 here looks like a possible move, but there is knight e4. And it's simply defending. Like you don't have anything. You don't have anything around the pawn on f7 now. Your queen is under the attack. So most probably I would play queen to h5. Like g6 doesn't do much. We have queen h6 and the pressure is increasing there. Any other move like knight g6 maybe looks interesting, but then we can simply take, right? Pawn takes is not possible because of rook. The other pawn doesn't. It's not possible because we just take here. King g8, queen f3. We have double attack and also attack on the rook. So I mean this is massively bad for them. So yeah, that's the whole point of our tactics. And my play, but you know, if you don't see that, if you're fine with the rook, you just take the rook and okay, you play now with the bishop here. I guess you should go move this bishop somewhere like bishop e4, then queen d6, then bishop a3, then rook c1. Okay, you're still much better, of course, but if you're prioritizing checkmate, you can go for the king on the king side. So yeah, that was the point of my sacrifice. All right, sounds well. Okay, let's go for the final game. Let's go for the final game. It's okay, we are still white. We're gonna play the first move e4 again. Let's see how they respond on that. c5. Okay, they're playing Sicilian. We're gonna opt for knight f3, of course. Let's see what they do. Okay, they play the move d6. So now here I can show you bishop b5. I think this thing is called, according to Chess.com, canal attack or something. But I can also play the move knight c3 and then later go for the move bishop b5. What do you want to see? Do you want to see bishop b5 first or knight c3 first? What is your preference? Or you don't have preferences? You'll let me choose. Here I can also go d4, but not playing that today. Yeah, maybe we can go for... You want a knight first. Okay, let's go knight first. Let's go knight first. Okay, knight c3. Knight c3. Now the whole story is, if he goes knight f6, now we go bishop b5. But according to book, the best move is a6. If you're playing Najdorf, you should play a6 here, because you're stopping my idea of bishop b5. If you're not playing Najdorf, I tricked you with this sideline and avoiding the dragon variation, the classical Sicilian variation, and so on. Now there is 3 moves here how to defend. Knight c6, bishop d7, knight d7. Let's see how our opponent chooses to defend himself. Bishop d7 is the most common move because simply looks... b4 I could also play it. Yeah, this is... how that's called, the wing gambit. Knight e7 played. Okay, so now what is really important against knight e7? Since the knight is odd now on d7 here, we are going for the move d4. We have to break the center. I want to show you later one very tricky line in the analysis. Instead of d4, we go a4. That's a very tricky line. You'll see why. There is a very nice trick. Very, very nasty trick. So now we take with a queen. We don't take with a knight because we are prioritizing fast queenside development with castles. And then we simply go and for the center breaks. a6 is a slightly odd move. To explain that one, this helped our development to be much faster because we are going to take this knight on d7. Even though this knight is bad on the first glance because it's pinned, this knight will come on c5 and will be very annoying. So now we go bishop g5. And in the next move, we are going castles. And in the next two moves, we are having all pieces in the game against his king in the center. So I won many games this way, and I got many nice positions. Now black has to be really, really precise in this position. Of course, in the long run, this position could be good for black because he has a bishop here. And if you consolidate, typical Sicilian structure, always better for the endgame. Of course, black will be more pleasant. But when we are looking for the middle game and earlier attacks, white is much faster. So now the problem for him is he can't go g6 because we simply destroyed his pawn structure, then go knight e5, and it's really unpleasant. That's the first thing. Second thing, he can now play the move e5. That's one book move. He can also play the move e6, but depends. Some people doesn't like to play the move e5. Like, if I'm black, I would play the move e5 here. Because I like these structures where I have kind of hole on d5. But later you can protect that hole. Okay, he played d5. Now we step with our queen back to d3. That's the point. Not on d2. I think not on d2 because sometimes your pawn is hanging on e4. And usually d3 is a better square just for the queen generally. It's also possible to come on c4 if needed, or to go on b3 later if you move your knight, so that's why queen d3 is better square. Now bishop to f6, we can take on f6. And if they take back, then we win the pawn, that's nice. So they have to kind of take back with the other pawn and look for f5 breaks. If we manage to put the knight here, then shuffle the other knight on e3, like white is dominating. And that should be my... That should be how I should develop my pieces and navigate with my position. So now we still don't have tactics, but tactics could appear very soon. Very, very soon. I think that on h6 now, I think h6 is the best move. We should drop our bishop back to e3. That's what I think it's something what we should do. To actually not keep it on h4 because he'll go for g5 later and so on. I think bishop to e3 is much better because later on tactics on b6 appears. Followed by castles, and yeah, this bishop is just better to operate on the queen side. That's what is the logic behind this bishop retreatment. Because many people would actually keep this bishop on h4. Many people will be there. Yeah, we are waiting for him to play. He has many possible moves. I think bishop c6, even rook c8, all of this works. But once he played move bishop e7, taking here is fine for us. We are destroying the structure, giving up the bishop pair, but we are prioritizing the strategical weaknesses on d5 and f5. So we are trying to use that for our position. I think that's a brilliant idea. Bishop b5 works? It wouldn't, right? No, bishop b5 just loses the pawn, no? Takes, pawn takes, queen takes. What was the problem? Ah, you want a queen a5, but I dropped the knight back. You don't have it. What do you mean? Now bishop b5? Or earlier, or what? Where exactly? Where do you mean bishop b5? Yeah, you just lose the pawn, yeah. You just lose the pawn. Like b5 could be interesting. Like, I don't know why it takes so much time for him to get developed here. It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, white is having nice position, but white can stabilize here. White can stabilize. If he knows, of course. So the position shows how much is uncomfortable for him. Thinking and spending so much time shows how much it's trickier for him. I would play h6, rest is all kind of blocked. Yeah, I think h6 is the best move here now. As I remember from my analysis, I think h6 is the best. And then I drop my bishop back to e3, that's the best square. If he goes for something like knight to g4, I sort of ignored it, or I play something like knight c4, or yeah, knight e5 actually, threatening this, so he has to take, I take back with my knight. Then I want to reroute this knight also on the d5 square, so that's kind of story that we want to like shuffle. Hello, hello, yin the yin. My number one fun. Okay, he played bishop e7, and that's what we wanted, because now he didn't castle, and we can simply now take this guy here. That's what we want. Take on time. He takes back with bishop, and this actually loses the pawn on d6. So if he is already castled, then this is not great position for white to take this pawn. But since he's here, then now we simply take d6 pawn, and we are much better. We just have the pawn up. So he kind of missed that. Rook c8. Okay. Rook c8, he wants to apply the pressure in the middle, but now he's missing another pawn here, where we're gonna just make trades, right? We're gonna just make trades. Or we can go knight e5. But knight e5, we lost the pawn on c2. Interesting. So let me think. What's the best way here to finish the game? Okay, like knight takes e5, bishop e7, we take twice. That's good position for us. Knight e5, bishop takes, queen takes, check, king. If it's blocked, then we take even here. So I take just the easiest is, okay, he resigned. I don't know why he resigned. Why people are resigning? No, there was no need to, did he like, is it shown on my profile that I'm streaming? Like what? No, okay. Maybe he actually realized that this is the authorized account for the speedrun, and the all points, they'll be refounded. I don't know. I don't know why he resigned. Maybe he thought he's losing so much pawns, but okay, we can get through this game very quickly just to show you the theoretical part of this game.
Let's review it together.
And our accuracy here was very strong. So yeah, e4, c5, knight to f3, d6, and we pick this variation with knight c3. So the point is, after knight f6, we want to go for this check, which is one very interesting sideline. If you're a Neither player, you should go here for the move a6, because now I don't have this check anymore. And if I don't want to play open Sicilian, or if I'm not ready for that, then you already trick me, and I need to pick some other lines such as G3 or something. But if you are a Dragon player or classical Sicilian player, you kind of have to play this move or Knight C6. So that's the point of this like tricky sideline. Bishop B5, Knight E7. And now here you always strike with E4. Let me show you one very nice trick. So now we're gonna see some tactics. The move A4. The move A4. And now the point is, when they go A6, you're dropping your bishop back to C4. And now what many people do here, they're going for the move G6 because they actually want to go for the bishop G7, and you know, that's kind of the point how they want to develop. And here in this position, you play the move A5. And after move A5, they're developing normally, going bishop G7. And can someone tell me what is the wrong now with the black's position? Looks like he's preparing castles, everything is natural. What white is doing with the move A5, what's the point? Is anything wrong with that? Yeah, that's correct. Bishop takes F7, king takes F7, knight G5 check. He can never play B6. You mean B6 like pawn B6? It's not about that. It's about exactly bishop F7. And now, if he drops the king back to E8, we trap the queen. And that's the point of A5. We control the B6 square. Queen can't come there. Queen is trapped. Of course, if they go king to F8, we still go knight E6. We win the queen. So kind of the only move that looks natural is this. Then we again go to move knight E8, knight E6. They go queen E8 to save it. Now we go knight C7. I don't know, queen goes here. We take eventually the rook, and we are much better in this middle game. So that's the point of this tactical trick. I saw many people, like you can look here in database, that in this position, where is the Explorer book? In the like master games, in the Masters games, there's 11 games. People are playing the move bishop G7 and blundering bishop takes F7. Even on a higher level. I don't know if there is the database for chess.com, like other players or something, but it's enough to see that masters are even here playing the move bishop G7 automatically and just simply losing to bishop takes F7. So instead of that, instead of going bishop G7, they should play firstly queen C7. And okay, white is still fine. You got nice positional control on the queen side, so they cannot connect the pawns anymore. You can castle, they play bishop G7. Now I can play D3, they will castle. You know, maybe to move the bishop back just to step out of some, you know, knight jumps. Or you can just play rook E1, you can play H3. You have a normal position. At some point, I guess you want to break with E5 if possible. Playing E5 themselves is a big positional mistake, because it's creating more weaknesses on the light squares and it's just collapsing at some point for them. So yeah, that was one tricky line I wanted to show you. A4, very nice. By the way, if they go G6 again, I think you can still go for the A5 idea. But now it's not the same because your bishop is not on C4. And that's what people are playing. They want to so badly move this bishop from this spot, and that's the whole story. Actually on G6, I think you should go for something else. I don't remember my analysis from this point, but maybe D4 takes, queen takes, bishop G7, and now some move A5. Something like that, I'm not sure. But okay, that was one tricky line I want to show you. Of course, D4 is much better move. Takes with queen. And now A6. So it's a book move, but it's less good than E5 directly, for example. Why? It's simply wasting the time. It's a book move because it's the most played move here in this position. What do you think about a hyper accelerated dragon? Which fiddle level it's good because I'm about it. Like hyper accelerated dragon is a very good opening. I actually have course on that on my website, so I'm playing that sometimes myself. It's a decent opening. It's a decent opening for all levels. Like it's a very nice.
you're avoiding many theoretical lines, and it's getting really sharp at some point, increasing your tactical awareness, positional also, and it's a very nice opening. You can keep it. So bishop takes d7, bishop takes d7, bishop g5. Bishop g5 is a nice move because simply threatening to take the knight and ruin the pawn structure. E5 is a way of playing, of course. Queen d3 is fine, but actually now I see queen b4 is the best here to attack on b7. And if they go queen to c7, take, and you go knight e5 and you win the game. So yeah, I missed that. I missed queen b4 is the best move, but queen d3 is also fine. Okay, here I want to show you one line. I want to show you one line here, because many people here are playing e6, which is very natural, of course. Then you go castles, and now the point, you want to go e5 at some moment. So what I'm facing most of the time is the move bishop to e7, and now you go the move e5. Now you go the move e5. And after pawn takes, you take with knight. So do you see what is happening here? Do you see what is your threat? Can someone tell me what is your threat? What is your threat here? What is white threatening? Yeah, we are threatening bishop takes on f6 and then take on d7. So the only move for black that kind of keeps the little stability is the move bishop c6. Bishop b5, for example, it also looks possible. You do not take this guy here. That's what I want, to open up the A line. You don't want to do that. Now you step out of the way with your queen on f4. That's the common square for the queen in this line. And if they go something like queen a5, you're simply focusing on the king in the center still. So you're playing knight g4. Your king is completely safe. You don't have to worry about anything. If they take your knight on g4, you take queen e7. King is getting exposed now, and you are actually going for tactics like queen d6, king d7, and some knight e5. And this is very dangerous. Like, position is getting so dangerous for them. You have to study theory for this a bit, because if you miss one thing, game could be over for you. Let me show you what I mean about that. Bishop c6, you take on c6, of course. They take back with a pawn. And now in this position, queen c4 is the best. So the whole story is to maintain the pressure here, and slowly you wanna, if you win the pawn, you wanna trade queens, of course. Queen c7, for example, is bad because you have the move bishop f4. Bishop f4. And if they go something like queen to b7, then you simply wanna trade this strong bishop like this, and then just take the pawn. This looks very dangerous because it's opening up the line for the queen, but you're looking for the simplification and, of course, the queen trade. And that's how this position should be played. Then you're gonna play rook d3, rook d1. Like, your king is completely safe. No worries about your king. Like, after queen b7, you go queen g3, defend here. On rook b8, you just play b3, and your king is completely safe. Your next move is this, and you're totally fine. What about queen a4 instead of queen c4? You mean here? Yeah, I think that's something I played myself. For some reason, queen c4 is much better. I don't have concrete answer what, but Engine strictly loves queen c4. I think it's because connected more with the king side. Like, you're attacking these pawns both way. Are you here or here doesn't matter. So the pawns, I think pawns are not a problem. I think it's more about like being connected with the center. Just staying on c4 feels more natural. Like, position is not full of pieces, so you can actually, you know, step out of some pins or something with queen a4. Like, there is no so much pieces on the board. So I think that's the reason why. Like, queen c4 is the best move. And I remember that queen to c8 looks also very natural because you want to step out of the bishop f4 stuff. This looks natural, but it doesn't work because the whole point of this line, after you reach this position, is to go with a move knight e4. And now when they take you, you take on e7. And if the queen is on b7 or c7, they would take it back with queen. Otherwise, if they want to save the knight now to go back, you're going to just drop your bishop to a3, or of course here you have just the move rook d8. But if you're not a fan of playing this endgame, of course you're winning here, of course, but if you don't want to play this, you don't need. You can drop your bishop back to a3, and anyway, their king are sort of checkmated later, so they can cast some and it's collapsing for black. So they have to take you on e7, and now you take on e4. So the problem is actually this rook is never coming in the game unless they protect the pawn on h7 with some bad moves like this. Then this opens the angles for the dark squares. If they go here, you go queen f6. So that's the point of this line, like to provoke king come further. And that's why queen b6 is the best move here, defending the pawn. Now you again go to move knight e4, and when they take here, now you take on e7, and after king e7, queen is actually better on b6 than on c8. So that's harsh truth for them. Like, queen is much better to stay on b6 than on c8. They can safely include the other rook to the game. They also have the counterplay. But of course, white is still better. You have queen h4, king f8, queen takes h7. And position goes on. Position goes on. White is pressing. He has, more pawns he will collect, obviously. But he also needs to be careful for the counterplay of black. That's only if black knows everything. Like, if he understands this position. This is not possible, believe me. Like, people made a lot of blunders here. I remember that after this move, I had in one game the move queen f4, and then this guy played queen c8. That was also one option. And then you play knight c4, and then you're already looking for this. So this looks very scary, to be honest. Again. So okay, how was in the game? My opponent played a move e5, which was a sort of interesting move. I played a move queen to d3. He played a move bishop e7, and that's the whole point. Why this move is a mistake? Can someone tell me in the chat? Can someone tell me in the chat? Why is this move a mistake? Okay, but why bishop f6? Like, can we wait and take it later? Don't forget to follow up the channel and sub up. Like the stream. Follow on Twitch, like on YouTube. Thank you very much. Leads to losing a pawn. Yeah. It is, but on bishop takes f6, if he takes back with bishop, we take like it happened in the game. And we have enormous advantage because our knights are simply planting in the center, and definitely we are much better here. I think if they're already castled, then this position is dangerous for us because black is getting big initiative for opening these D lines. So the problem is, in this position, after something like g takes f6, that these squares are really sensible. And we can go for longside castles. We can go knight e5 now. Then this knight can jump here. So it's just enormous advantage for white. Like, usually these kind of structures we are seeing in the Sveshnikov, right? In Sveshnikov opening that comes from the e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, takes, this, knight f6. Knight c3, e5, knight b5, d6, bishop g5, a6 goes back, b5, or firstly, many people are taking here. Then g takes is the best, then knight e3, and now f5. So these positions, these structures we were reaching in the Sveshnikov, but here there is f5, and like it's totally fine. He's achieving this move f5. But in our position, this thing cannot be played. Simply because we have control on that square and we are very fast with development. Like, our knights are much better in this position. We can kind of connect it with Sveshnikov, but it's much better version than Sveshnikov. So here, yeah, they are in a big problem. Like, let's say they go queen b6, you go knight e5, they play queen c5, I don't know. And here just start planting your knights on these light squares. Like I've seen that there is some maneuver like 92, knight f1, 93 that exists, but I think this is a bit slow. King b1 is usually the move you can always play and just wait here and don't do anything. Like you can just wait and nothing will happen. He'll maybe play rook c8 and start pushing these pawns, but at some point you need to look for these jumps. That's your main priority. Bishop e6. You should save this knight actually. Play something like knight e3, then knight f5. So you don't really wanna exchange queens here. Like if you play here knight f5, he'll take here. If you take with queen, that's what he wants. Maybe he wants queen takes c2 also. So you allow some counterplay. That's why maybe just saving it, like knight e3. On queen a5, I guess you just play b3 or a3. And then you're ready for this. You need to join this knight in the game, and then after that you put a pressure here, here. You have some tactics, obviously. And that's the goal with these knights. That's how you should play with these knights. That's the main goal. After this, I took with queen. My opponent played rook c8, and simply here he resigns. I don't know. Maybe he realized that this is a speedrun account, or he just didn't like that. No, even knight takes e5 is coming, and if he takes, we take. If bishop e6, we take on g7. So we take so many pawns in the middle, and we kind of open up and destroy our opponent. So the game is completely over after this. I think that he can try something with bishop c6 here, trying to offer the queen trade. We of course let him take the queen, but on his move. And after king e7, bring the other rook to the game. And if he tries to bring this, I think we can just trade everything, and this endgame is completely winning for us. But maybe he can try something to defend in this endgame, then to play the middle game. That's my opinion. Like 95 takes, and I don't know. Trying to bring the king closer, c4, something like that. Maybe h5. Yeah, white is better for sure. Like you go up with your pawns, rerouting your knight, but you have to be careful because bishop is bishop, and he's always more trickier than the knight in the endgames where there is more pawn islands. But of course, white is much better. So yeah, that was about this game. I guess we had a very nice theoretical segment on this speedrun. We increased our rating on 1583, so we can update that now. So we're on 5083. That's not 89, 83 actually. And next stream, we are starting from that point. We are starting from 1583. That's decent. Don't forget to follow, to like the stream, to sub up, to follow up. Thanks for watching, and the next stream will be 2 days from now, the same time, so Wednesday, 2-hour stream again. Speed run, we are crossing 1600 and getting closer to 2000, and then after that, we are going further to do more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.